go now.
This is Sandra Avila Beltran.
Corrupción. Pero no es nomás con el narcotráfico, hay mucha corrupción en cualquier ámbito social.
Sandra is dubbed the Queen of the Pacific by the media and is a member of a Mexican drug cartel. Her criminal career is interesting because of her family connections, which have played a significant role in her career. Her family has ties to Rafael Caro Quintero, a former Guadalajara cartel leader. She's also related to the Beltran Leyva brothers, who were top leaders of the Sinaloa cartel. According to Mexican officials, Avila Beltran is the niece of Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo, the godfather and boss of the Mexican drug trade. Her mother's family became involved in heroin smuggling in the 1970s and later expanded into cocaine. DEA officials claimed that Avila Beltran never shied away from using the violence that comes with the territory, and that she used the typical intimidation tactics of Mexican organizations. In her youth, she had affairs with several well-known drug barons and was married twice. Her husbands were ex-police officers who became drug traffickers and were later assassinated. Her relationship with Juan Diego Espinosa Ramirez, alias the Tiger, who is said to be an important figure in Colombia's Norte del Valle cartel, is credited with her rise to power in the drug world. She lived in Guadalajara, Jalisco, and Hermosillo, Sonora until 2001, when police discovered more than 9 tons of cocaine on a ship in the Pacific port of Manzanillo, Colima, and traced the shipment to her and her lover, Espinosa Ramirez. Despite her high-profile lifestyle, Beltran has long avoided leaving any evidence for police to find. However, when her teenage son was kidnapped for a $5 million ransom in 2002, she unexpectedly contacted authorities for assistance. She eventually got her son back, but not before raising red flags that prompted an investigation. It took over 4 years and 30 federal agents to finally apprehend Avila. She was charged with organized crime and drug trafficking conspiracy, but some charges were later dropped. She was detained on suspicion of illegal weapon possession and money laundering, pending extradition to the United States. On August 10, 2012, she was finally extradited to the United States to face criminal charges. Next, we take you to Naples, where Maria Licciardi dominated the Camorra gang. Maria grew up in Secondigliano, a Neapolitan suburb in the stronghold of the Licciardi clan, one of Naples' most powerful Camorra clans. Her entire family was involved in the Camorra, with her father, a well-known local boss, and her brothers rising through the ranks. Her husband was also a member of the Camorra, so crime was in her blood. Maria rose to the top of the criminal world and became one of Camorra's most powerful bosses. After her brothers and husband were arrested, Maria became the first female boss of the Secondigliano Alliance, a coalition of powerful Camorra gangs that controlled drug trafficking and extortion rackets in many Naples suburbs. She was a trailblazer, and the alliance grew more organized, secretive, sophisticated, and powerful under her direction. Maria brought many revolutionary changes to the clan, such as prostitution, which was previously prohibited under Camorra's code of conduct. This enhanced criminal activity and the clan's income. However, it also meant that many underage girls were enslaved and forced into prostitution, often while on drugs. However, Maria's reign ended when a disagreement arose over a shipment of pure, unrefined heroin. She refused to sell it because it was too powerful for the average user and would harm the alliance's customer base. The Lorusso clan, who had always opposed her leadership, disagreed and packaged the shipment for street sale, resulting in the deaths of many drug addicts throughout Naples. This sparked widespread public outrage, leading to massive police crackdowns on the Camorra clans. Maria was arrested and jailed. Prisons do not impede the Camorra, and she still commanded the clan from behind bars. She was released in 2009 after nearly 8 years. In 2019, she escaped a massive anti-Camorra operation against the Secondigliano Alliance. 71-year-old Maria was arrested in 2021 for being the leader of the Camorra gang while trying to board a flight to Spain. She was sentenced to 12 years and 8 months in jail. Just like Maria, we have Judith Moran. This is Judith Marianne Moran. Moran was from the notorious Australian Moran criminal family and had a life story that reads like a gangster movie script. This woman was born December 18, 1944, and participated in the notorious Melbourne gangland killings. Judy's first marriage was in 1963 to Leslie John "Johnny" Cole. Johnny was tragically killed in a drug-related gangland conflict in Sydney in 1982. Mark Cole, their son, born in 1964, later changed his name to Mark Moran. Judy began dating Louis Moran in 1966, and they had a son named Jason Moran in 1967. Their relationship, however, did not last, and they divorced in 1995. Fast forward to the early 2000s, and things heat up even more. Mark Moran was assassinated in 2000, and Jason Moran was assassinated in 2003. Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, Louis Moran was murdered in 2004. However, the plot thickens. Des Moran, Judy's brother-in-law, was murdered in Ascot Vale in June 2009. Judy and 3 others were later arrested in connection with his murder. Judy was accused of concealing the getaway car in her garage and disposing of it. To top it all off, when police searched Judy's home, they allegedly discovered a hidden safe containing 3 handguns, 2 stolen Victorian license plates, a wig, and clothing that matched the description of the shooters given by witnesses.
Another handgun with seems to be a night aiming device on that.
Judy Moran was denied bail because her possession of weapons posed a risk to the community. She was found guilty of murdering Desmond Moran by a jury in 2011, and she was sentenced to 26 years in prison, with a minimum of 21. Another notorious female gang leader that served time in prison was Rosetta Cutolo. This is Rosetta Cutolo. Cutolo was the mastermind behind one of Italy's most notorious organized crime syndicates. Rosetta was the sister of Raffaele Cutolo, the boss of the Nuova Camorra Organizzata, or NCO. Her brother was a megalomaniacal man who spent most of his time in prison. That didn't stop him from carrying on with his criminal enterprise. Rosetta stepped in to help. She was the one who carried out his orders from behind bars and nurtured his devoted followers outside. According to a resident of Ottaviano, where Rosetta lived with her mother, the NCO would have collapsed without her. Rosetta was a brilliant negotiator who dealt with cocaine barons in South America. She even attended a high-level meeting with representatives of the Sicilian Mafia and Camorra clans to try to end the bloody war between the NCO and their Nuova Famiglia rivals. Despite her position in the organization, Rosetta maintained a low profile. She led a simple life, tending to her roses and avoiding the spotlight, in contrast to her brother, who enjoyed giving interviews and making speeches in court. Rosetta ruled from the NCO's headquarters, the Castle Mericeo, a sprawling 16th century palace with 365 rooms and a sprawling park with tennis courts and a swimming pool. The castle provided Cutolo with direct access to the prisons of Poggioreale and Ascoli Piceno. However, police raided her stronghold in October 1981 while she was presiding over an NCO meeting. Cutolo escaped undercover in a car driven by the neighborhood priest. Rosetta was not seen in public for over a decade after that and directed operations from a series of safe houses in various cities. She surrendered in February 1993 after police discovered her hideout. She was sentenced to 9 years on charges of mafia affiliation, but the sentence was later reduced to 5 years. She was, however, acquitted of 9 murder charges. Rosetta had convinced the authorities that she was harmless, and her frumpy appearance helped. Rosetta might have convinced the authorities, but that wasn't the case for Maria Leone. This is Maria Chata Leone. Chata is the boss of a whole criminal underworld. We're talking drugs, murder, the works. She has 13 children. 13. Unfortunately, one of her children, Danny Clever Leone, was killed in a shootout with police in 2008, and she wanted to attend his funeral in the United States. The only problem is that she is stuck in Mexicali, which is on the Mexican side of the border. Having served some time in U.S. prison, she is banned from re-entering the country. So what does Maria do? She contacts a human smuggler, Alvarez Marquez, and requests his assistance crossing the border. And boy, does he deliver. The guy has previously brought some unusual items across the border, including a 3-month-old baby and a truck of Chinese workers hidden in a freezer truck. However, getting Maria across the border is a special job, and it will not be easy. Because her options are limited, Alvarez Marquez suggests that they assist her in jumping the border fence. She also suggested swimming beneath the fence through the highly polluted New River, which flows north from Mexicali to Calexico, California. Doesn't that sound intense? But things get even crazier. While Alvarez Marquez is on the phone with Maria's son, Francisco Real, he's unaware that the feds are listening in. They're looking into Francisco, who they believe is a top dog in the Drew Street gang, which is linked to Maria's criminal empire. From listening in, the feds learned about Alvarez Marquez's plan to smuggle Maria across the border. They followed up on the tip and eventually arrested him on conspiracy to smuggle, transport, and harbor illegal aliens. They also arrested up to 25 other gang members and illegal aliens. Maria Leon was sentenced to 8 years in prison.